This video is the first of probably 3 videos in which I'm going to cover how much exercise it's possible to do as a new dad. The results may surprise you, but they probably won't. It was quite difficult and I got very tired.
How much sleep did you get last night?
It could have been better if someone wasn't snoring.
That's good practice for the baby.
Yes.
8 hours? 10 hours?
No.
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 6 hours?
Somebody was snoring all night.
I got a good 8 hours.
Oh.
I feel pretty good.
Just hope the baby doesn't take after their dad.
Day 1, done. That was a very, very, very long day. We got in for 8 o'clock in the morning. We were originally told to go in for 11 o'clock. Then the hospital phoned up and said, no, come in at 8. And then when we turned up at 8, they went, oh, you run last today. You might as well have turned up at 11. So that meant that we had like 3-4 hours just sitting around doing not a lot. Thankfully, I read a book about pop stars and what they do next once they're not famous anymore, which mostly seemed to involve taking loads of drugs and spending all the money they made when they were famous. Not sure what the lesson is in that story. So eventually, about 2:30, we were able to head down to theatre and head in. You don't really see, it was a cesarean section, and you don't really see that much. What they do is they put up a big sheet and work away at that. At one point they did say, do you have any music that you want to play? We said no, so they stuck on probably Radio Clyde or something like that, which meant that we got, what's his name? George Ezra. There, I think if I was to ask any music you don't want, I think George Ezra's name would have come up. But there you go. If you don't be specific, you just get wherever's going. Once the whole thing starts happening, you don't pay any attention anyway to the music, so it's not really like it mattered at all. Not much to see. At a certain point, all you hear is a sort of wah as the baby pops out. Unfortunately, his breathing was a bit fast. So he was struggling a little bit just to get oxygen in. So what they did was they decided to call the on-call paediatrician just to come down and check him out. Unfortunately, though, they called the wrong number. So they actually called the head paediatrician. He came down and he said he didn't mind and had a look at him anyway. So that was nice of him. He said it was most likely a very common thing you get with caesarean births, which is you can get a bit of fluid still in the lungs because in a vaginal birth, then when they come down the passage, it sort of squeezes the fluid out of them. In this case, they don't get that squeezing effect, so the fluid doesn't come out. So you can end up with a bit of it left behind, which means your breathing is a bit laboured. So his preference was to send him up to the ICU unit so he could get some oxygen and just keep him on that for a while just to see how things played out. So everything will be okay. We'll see how it goes. Quite a knackering day. It's absolutely boiling in the hospital. So I had the wrong clothes. I'm wearing this thick thing on, and that's a bit too much, really. The doctor was talking to me at the end there, and all I could think of was like, "Please hurry up! I'm going to faint if I keep standing for much longer." So yeah, a bit too warm, and struggled a bit for food. I'd bought some lunch, thinking that's fine. I thought I'd maybe get away about 7 o'clock. To get my dinner, but since I didn't get away then, I had to go try and find something nearby. There was no choice. It was like Co-op. We got a crappy sandwich and at least we had one bit of sushi, so slightly healthy, which we'll do. So overall, interesting.
So at the end of day 1, I had done no exercise, but I did get a good night's sleep because there was no one else in the house. I'm determined to use the rest of my paternity leave to stay fit and get some training back in. I've been quite lazy for the last 3 months. I used to run every single morning with my wife. She was pregnant, she stopped running and just walked instead. And I just did exactly the same, so I lost all of the runs that I used to do. So my aim with this is to get cycling going, currently on Zwift, and hopefully get back outside and do some running. Well, maybe not today, because the weather is awful. Bike ride 1 done. 43 minutes and nearly 19.5 kilometres. I chose a route that wasn't hilly, so I needed something easy to start with. Quite tired. Can't believe I used to do this for 4 or 5 hours at a time. Right. 10 minutes on the rower next. At 10 minutes rowing, that was 2,777 metres. That's a lot of sevens. That was too many sevens. Because my son had to stay in hospital a bit longer than most children do, then the only chance I had to do any exercise was when I got up in the morning, because after that I would go and head into the hospital and tend to do about 12, 13 hours. Today I'm going to go for a run. Not sure how far I'll go because the weather's not very nice. I think all I'll do is aim to do a couple of miles, see how it goes. When I feel alright, I'll add on a little bit more.
Sometimes we try to be cool, not being givers, only takers. Stop for a minute, stop and breathe for a minute. Don't get over your head, try to listen instead, won't you?
For me, running is always the best way to get back to fitness, but in the past it's also the one in which I would procrastinate the most before doing, as in I would hang around the house trying to find anything else to do other than go for a run. The advantage of a newborn child is that my time is very limited, so nowadays if I've got 30 minutes spare, I just go for a run, no procrastination at all. End of day 3. First thing I have to do when I come in the house is feed Charlie. Today was a day of one step forward, one step back. So when I left yesterday, Heath was off oxygen, but when I went back in today, he was back on it again. And they said during the night they had a little bit of trouble breathing, so they wanted to give him some assistance. They think it might be an infection. If it is, then they've started giving him antibiotics.
Guy points out or whatever, so it has a use, a part of digging a hole. And as the MLD Doom it doesn't come with the inner tent, so you need to buy it separately.
Day 3 of exercise done. So I did 60 minutes of cycling on Zwift, while watching, of course, YouTube videos. Then 10 minutes on the rowing machine, and then a few weights. I don't usually do weights, so I don't really know what I'm doing. But I think for the first couple of weeks, I'll just play around with them, just get used to having to do 5-10 minutes at the end. That plan sounded really good, but the reality is, it's nearly 2 months later, and that was the last time I picked up a weight. Heath is now out of the ICU. That heads into what's called the next ward, which is the special care ward. And that means that he has less wires in him, he doesn't need extra oxygen, and hopefully things are starting to look up a little bit. Supposedly last night he was given a little bit of extra oxygen just to help him, but he's back off it again. So let's have to see how things go. Now, one of the good things about the special care unit is that it's got a massive picture of the Isle of Harris on it. So actually from his bed, you can look up and see Luscantara Beach, which is quite sweet really, I quite like that.
quite a difference between this and my last run. The sun is shining, the sky is blue, but it's absolutely bollock. So cold. Anyway, run number 2 done. A little bit further this time, and it felt slightly easier, which is good.
From this point in my paternity leave, it was sunny and dry practically every single day until I returned to work, and then it started raining.
Day 3? 4? 3. Pretty sure it's 3. Day 3.
It's not day 3, it's day 5.
More progress again, so I come down off the oxygen, and it was spent most of the day on a normal level, which is about 21% oxygen. Towards the end of the day, he was a bit unsettled, so they moved him up back up to like 23, 24%. But at least that's progress and better off than yesterday. I forgot to mention, I also managed to convince Nick to let me go and see Ant-Man tomorrow. So I found there was a showing on at 10 o'clock in the morning, which I thought was perfect timing, because normally I go to the hospital about midday. So if I watch the film first, I can just go straight to the film. So that's not too bad. Get that. Also managed to get myself a Tantrum donut. This is the blueberry option, and it's absolutely delicious.
One of the good things about where I live is that there's lots of great mountain bike trails on my doorstep. One of the bad things about where I live is all of these mountain bike trails go uphill to start with, which is a bit knackering when you haven't biked properly in 3 months. But I always think hills do make me fitter, so I'm always glad once I've done them.
It's quite good as I continue my exercise regime of 1 day biking, 1 day running, and then just repeat endlessly. My run today is a slightly longer loop, just to test myself. The way I'm looking at exercise at the moment is that it's purely functional. As much as I might want to go up a hill or see somewhere with a nice view, then I've got to maximise my time and just do whatever I can. So today I've got 40 minutes, so I'll do a little bit of cross country, which I've just done, down onto this path, and then I'm going to find a wee hill and do some of the hill. This is the start of a hill called the Moon. It looks okay at the moment. It's always hard to tell when you got video, and then it ramps up pretty quickly. I don't think anyone really knows why it's called the Moon. I have asked around. I'm assuming just because it was so steep. They thought it must be a path to the moon. First part is just a warm up. It goes up a little bit flat, and then it really ramps up. Let me show you. It looks flat, but it's not. It's very steep. So he's starting to ramp up. Oh, I think I've used the word ramp quite a lot. Used to be able to run all this in one go. Not sure I'll make it today. 50 metres to go. Keep going. Keep going. Last few metres. Made the top. That was hard work.
Although I was tired from having to spend 10 to 12 hours a day in the hospital, I was really glad I had forced myself to do exercise every single day. I was finding it a big benefit in terms of mental health because of the fresh air and just sort of getting a sweat on just makes you feel a little bit better. But also, this was the point I was starting to feel a little bit fitter too. Just pushing myself a bit more each day was really having a benefit.
He's making good progress. He started on the pressure system, which was on level 8, which is the highest yesterday. Now he's on to level 4 today, so that's great. 6. I think today's... Oh no, I was going to say I'm pretty confident today's Tuesday, but now I'm thinking about it. Is it? Oh, it is. It's Wednesday. Tuesday, Wednesday. I need to check. What day is it actually? It's Wednesday. Cool. I thought it was Wednesday because my bins go out on a Thursday, and I saw the neighbours' bins were out when I was coming home, so I put my bins out. But then when I started thinking about it now, I got a bit confused and I couldn't really remember which day it was. And they also blur into one after a while. Good news is that Heath is now in the rooming in suites. This is the sort of B&B part of the hospital. It's not like a hotel suite. It's not that luxurious.
I didn't get any exercise done today, and I blame my mum. Sounds like a pretty feeble excuse. But she was visiting and down from the island, so I was having to drive her around everywhere and take her to the hospital so she could go and meet her new grandson. Because Heath spent the first 8 days in hospital, my experience of fatherhood is probably very different from other people. Normally you go in and you're out of the hospital within 2 or 3 days of your baby being born. So it'd be interesting to see from this point onwards just how tired I get.
Heath and Nick are at home, which means the first night he was all in the house and he was up 8 times, I think. Every hour, on the hour, I got woken up. So the fun begins. I think it's quite good just to, you get up in the morning and you're feeling bad, just come straight outside and get some fresh air. Just to, it feels better already, just feel fresh. So, it's going to be a long, long day.
At this point, I probably should have gone out and done some exercise. But I was so tired, I just eventually just hung around the house all day and did nothing. But I'm pretty sure a run or a bike would have re-energised me and made me feel a lot better.
Last night was okay. There was one point about 1:30 in the morning where he was crying a lot. So I had to get up and change him. But I actually managed to get one stint of 3 hours sleep, which was quite good. I read something ages ago which said that rowers work on a 90 minutes on, 90 minutes off when they're rowing the Atlantic. And all you need is 90 minutes. So the way I look at sleep is, as long as I get a 90-minute chunk, then that's good. And if I get 2 90-minute chunks, it's even better. So I managed to get 2 90-minute chunks last night, so we'll take that. And now I've got wife's taking him out, so quick break. I want to try and get up the Crow Road, which is my local hill climb. First part's always the most challenging bit. Oh yes, bend curve. Oh. And also because you don't get no warm up, it's straight up the hill. But once you've done that, opens up quite nicely and you get a nice view. One of the good things is I've been managed to be quite consistent with training and really start to feel benefits now. I stay 9 or 10 and done something every day. I've not overdone it. I've just kept it steady, doable stuff. And I'm really starting to feel the benefits of it. Fitness starting to kick back in and I feel a lot better. I think I lost a little bit of weight as well, so all good. And if you look off to the left, that's Celtic's training ground up in the hill. So if I do this, I'll treat myself to watching the Old Firm game this afternoon as they're playing the cup final. This is the first bit at the top, it's the Crow Road car park. Wasn't too bad. I'm going to go up a bit further and do an off-road section. One of the advantages of taking the mountain bike. I feel like also one of the good things is cycling the mountain bike's harder than a road bike, so I always feel that a bit better. From here you can run all the way up the top of the hills and do Cornwall, which I used to do quite a lot. At the moment, I don't think I'll be able to. It takes about 2 hours 15 to do the full loop. I won't be that amount of time, but maybe later in the summer. This section up to the car park is one where I first did an 100-mile race, and I'd never done the Crow Road before, and I didn't know how steep it was, and all I can remember is walking all of this section. It was about 90 miles into the race and I was absolutely knackered and not used to doing hills at all. So it's quite nice that 10 years later I'm able to do it on my mountain bike, although my legs are feeling a little bit tired. The good thing about doing it on Sunday morning is there's hardly any cars. It's the first one I've seen today. It's not even the end of February and there's lambs out. Amazing. We used to see them in April. Behind me is the off-road section I was going to do, but it's taken me 30 minutes to get up here and it'll take me 20 minutes to get back probably. And then another 10 minutes to have a shower, so that'll be my hour used up. So I was probably a bit over ambitious thinking I could tag it on today, but I'll try next week, but I'll just have to tell my wife in advance. So.
It was at this point I had the realisation that my time was no longer my own, which is probably a realisation that I should have had way before now, but I hadn't thought about it too much. I think at the back of my mind I was still thinking, you know, even if I have a kid, I'll still be able to go out and do what I like, bike whenever I want, run for how long as I want, but that's not the case. I have to be a bit more realistic and realise that I've now got responsibilities. But I think what this ride did show was I could still go and have a nice ride and still get fit. It was just a bit shorter and a bit more close to home. I'm a great believer in always having one rest day a week, which I always make a Monday because you do your most exercise on a Saturday and Sunday, and therefore it's quite nice to have a day off after then. The only problem is no day is ever truly a rest day when you've got dogs, because these two still need walked. Dog, stay. Impressively, Heath slept, I think, all the way through the night. Or at least I slept all the way through the night. I think my wife was up once, giving him a feed, which is pretty good going. I gave him a good talking to this morning and said that if he does that, I'll give him £1 every time he does it. And he'll be a very wealthy young man by the age of 18 if he does it. So, not sure if he understood me. Well, hopefully even babies understand the concept of money, and £1's a pound. I was a bit later in getting to bed last night because I saw a post on Facebook. Saw a post on Facebook that said the Northern Lights could be seen quite clearly in Glasgow. So I looked out the window and I could see a green glow just over the Campsie Hills, so I decided to jump in the car, drive to the top of the Campsies and see if I could get a good view of them. And I couldn't really see much with the naked eye. I could see a sort of blur. I squinted a little bit, but if I pointed my iPhone at it, it was actually quite nice. I've driven to the top of the hill in the middle of the night to come and see the Northern Lights because I saw a post on Facebook saying they were out tonight. I've never seen them on the mainland of Scotland. I've seen them home when I've been up in the Western Isles. They did come occasionally, but I think it's probably about 20 years since I last saw them. And you can't really see them with your naked eye. When I point the iPhone at them, then they really do stand out, because that's the best way to capture one of life's great sort of spectacles through the means of a tiny lens on an iPhone. This is the trig point over Lennox Forest. It's actually on the flight path to Glasgow Airport, so every 10 minutes you get a plane flying over the top. Bonnie loves to chase, makes you think that line sticks in the sky. Great views of Glasgow. If you look over this way, just there, that's the Arrochar Alps on Loch Lomond. The best time to come here is in the evening as the sun sets in the west over the Arrochar Alps, and you get beautiful sunsets. I like having a good scrap sometimes. Oh, stop it! Stop it! Bonnie always wins. The dog's a bit placid. You would fight? Oh, no. Bonnie loves swimming. I think she's going to be a bit disappointed with the level of ice here. Go on, go on. You start to see the Campsie Hills in the distance. They look beautiful all year round because they always catch the sun. At the end of the walk, it's about 40 minutes and about 4.5k or something like that. But it's great because no matter whether you do clockwise or anti-clockwise, you get amazing views of the Campsie Hills and a nice plod through the forest. There's also a section which is covered in mud, and always reminds me of the World War I trenches, so we call it the Somme. I'll see if I can drop some footage of it. If you've made it this far in this video, then congratulations, you've reached the end. Is there any sort of earth-shattering conclusions to this? No, not really. It's probably exactly what you expect. Having a kid is a bit tiring, and you will lose all of that free time that you previously had. But what it does show is that you still can go out, you can still do exercise and stay fit. There's no excuse for not doing that. Before having Heath, one of the things I've always wondered is, why do people with prams walk so slowly? And I always thought there must be a proper reason for it. But now, having got a baby and got a pram, there's no reason for it. I walk exactly the same speed with the pram as I did when I walked normally. So there you go. There's no excuse for not just going and doing a normal walk at a normal pace with a baby, and that'll keep you fit. But I'll give you the most important bit of advice that I was given, which was, don't listen to advice from anyone else. Which is a bit confusing because I was given that advice from someone else. So should I not listen to it? Or should I listen to it? Or not? I'm a bit confused.